Before we go any further, I'm going to read the recognition of Indigenous Peoples and Land Statement. London and Middlesex Community Housing provides housing on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lune, Hayuk, and Adawandara. We acknowledge the local First Nations communities in this area, the territory of the Chippewa of the Thames, the Oneida of the Thames, and the Munsee Delaware Nation. We honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. Today, the City of London and Middlesex County is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live in this territory. So I'll just look for, the agenda has been circulated, so I'll just look for a mover and seconder for the completion and acceptance of the agenda. Moved by Mayor Grantham, seconded by Gary. All those in favor? Right, the agenda, there's no changes into the agenda. I am not aware of any disclosures of interest, so I'll move to the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on May 23rd, 2024. I'm going to assume everybody's had the chance to review them, so I'll look for a mover and seconder of those. Moved by Greg, seconded by Sarah. All those in favor? That too is completed. We have no delegations, no presentations. So I'm going to go to the first matter, which is a consent matter, which is the staff report, CEO report, which you should have, and I hope you had an opportunity to review. I'm just going to look for a mover and seconder, and then we'll go to any questions about that. Moved by Hadley, seconded by the deputy mayor. So Paul, we have the report. Anything you'd like to go over?
Yes, and thank you through the chair. Just, I guess, something to add, sort of as I introduce the report. I think just recognize that we've heard from tenants and staff for the last number of years about community safety issues within LMCH, and we understand the impact of these serious incidents in our community. I think when we're sort of looking at our board package today, you've got two reports within the package. One is to approve a service contract for our security provider that is quintessential to keeping our community safe, provides after hours, evening and weekend support. And that contract is something that we have gone out to the market and found the best provider for us. And it's something that we were able to increase our expenditure in community safety year over year in our budget to respond to what's happening in our community. The other report in your package is the community safety quarterly report. So we're starting in 2024. We've been introducing just different metrics and trying to improve the shared understanding of the community safety issues and challenges we have in our community. So it's an important report to better understand what's happening in our community and how we're responding. So those two reports sort of give a piece of what we're doing. I think it's just important to also recognize that in 2023, there was over 4,600 violent crimes in the city of London, and some of those will happen in LMCH properties. So while we need to sort of take steps to improve community safety, we have to recognize that it's a broader community issue. So as we work through the challenges, they will continue to evolve. We may not be ahead of it. We cannot prevent crime in our communities. We cannot prevent violence in our communities. We are very fortunate in some of the resources we have that we can support police investigations. And that is something that we're very successful at for the level of CCTV access and things like that we have in our communities. But preventing and eliminating crime in our community is not something we can do alone. It is something for the tenants. It is something for the police. It is something for us to sort of find the best way to do it. Recognize that each community that we have housing is different. What's happening in that community is based on who's housed in the building, who's housed in the neighboring communities, what types of tenants are there. So we just have to sort of continue to evolve and continue to share information. And as we go through the reports today with the security contractor or the report on community safety and what we're doing, feel free to ask the questions. I think our job is to make sure that we're communicating to you what we're doing, and you can just sort of ask for clarification as we go through that. And we want to be able to demonstrate to you as the board and the community that we're taking the appropriate steps. So I think just introducing what's some of the things in the board package is important there. In the CEO report, we do have the CEO work plan for 2024, which is a complement to the strategic plan and the operational plans of the organization that sits on top of that. We've identified 4 priority areas in the plan and given progress updates. So expanding our impact, which is increasing the amount and types of housing we have. Create a foundation for success is about operational excellence and making sure we're organized to do the work we need to do. Increase our profile to share the good work we're doing and making sure we're addressing issues that come up. And financial sustainability, so that as we look at the next 50 years of community housing in London, we're ready, willing, and able to do that. So that is there for your review. And I think the other thing, I would just point out a couple more positive highlights. We had the final for Rookie League, season 31 of Rookie League concluded yesterday with the Limberlost community and their Limber Win team coming out on top after a hard-fought battle. So really big thank yous to the London Police Service, the volunteers that supported that, Joe Cools, the Youth in Policing program, and the community members themselves for coming together and supporting that. I think it's an important activity for the kids in our community, and I think they really, you know, seeing them really enjoy and participate in that was really great yesterday. So, and to thank board member Gary Bazare for coaching the winning team and sort of bringing them on top. So thank you for that, Gary. Appreciate that.
Hard fought battle.
Yeah, it was close. We had to go to video review on a few items. And I think just the last thing to raise the board's awareness of, just in part of our community engagement work that we're doing, just highlight that the Limberlost Community Fair is scheduled for next week. You've received an invitation for that. So that's going to be a pretty big community fair with the Optimist Club, with multiple community partners, face painting, and those types of things. So if you have not been to our Limberlost community or you'd like to join us, please let Melissa and I know, and we'll sort of help coordinate you to the right place. And I think it's an important part for the tenants and for staff to see board members and other community members out supporting, you know, them and their community. So I think with that, I will just return it to the chair and see if there's questions.
Thanks very much. Any questions or comments about Paul's report from the board? No, I just, we had a very fulsome discussion, I know at the committee meeting I was at, about community safety. So it's something we have discussed to a great extent already. So if we could have a further discussion on any of the reports, but I do appreciate the discussion we had at that committee. And I also met with Paul before he prepared his work plan. So I had some input in that, and that is what sort of we came up with after meeting and discussing where we are. We tried to match it up with the board's preferences and desires too, and I think they match up fairly well. So any questions or comments on the CEO report? All right, all those in favor? That matter is passed. So we're going to go on to the Finance, Audit, and Risk Committee reports. So hopefully you saw in one of the reports that we have a new chair for that committee. Greg Thompson has kindly agreed to chair it. So I'm going to turn things over to you, Greg, just to dealing with the consent reports, which are listed under B. If you could give us a summary of any highlights out of those reports.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, on August 1st, the Finance, Audit, and Risk Committee met. Remember, it being a fairly long meeting, maybe 2.5 hours-ish. John was on the stand for most of the time, giving several reports, but I'll give you, I guess, my takeaways and the key highlights of the, I think there's 6 reports that were presented for information. First report, number 17, was the asset renewal update from John. Key point there, LMCH has entered into a contract with the City of London as consultants in order to assist preparing a new asset management plan. One of the other items we discussed was the potential impact of the city's new rent eviction bylaw, and Sean kindly noted we are exempt from that, noting that really the purpose of that and the intent of that bylaw is to deal with landlords who are evicting tenants in order to raise rents, and that's obviously not what LMCH is doing as a public body. And another item on that was dealing with retaining a consultant coming up to assist with the strategic initiatives in terms of the regeneration strategy, the green plan, and updating building condition assessments. The next report we received were the Q2 financial results presented by Sunil and Bushra, who was here at the time. Financial highlights, I would say on Q2, we're just a little bit better than break even, which was an improvement over the budget. Big numbers, roughly 15.5 million in revenue and roughly 15.5 million in expenses, but we came out slightly on top. The significant variances that I think the board should be aware of, that Sunil provided a variance analysis on all the budget line items. We are up property taxes to the city. That was the biggest item, 160,000 versus budget. Pest control is also up 121,000 versus budget, and general building expenses were up 71,000 versus budget. All those were offset by higher city funding contributions during that period, first two quarters. Also to bring the board's attention, forecast for the balance of the year may be a concern. Looking at a $700,000 deficit probably by the end of the year. Major item there is what the rent forgiveness will look like as we approach Christmas, to have a negative impact on the revenue. The next report was the KPI report from Paul. There's a lot of information in there, so I would encourage everybody to look at it in detail if you haven't already. We could talk about that, I guess, with the consultant in terms of how we're tracking our progress there. But for me, the highlights were vacancy. We're meeting our target, being below 3%. Unit turnover in times and days has increased, so trending in the wrong direction, but we're still meeting the target, being less than 33 days. On the maintenance aspect, we are decreased in the number of urgent or emergency work orders, but this is still above the target. I'll move quickly through these next couple of things so I don't take up too much time. Reimagine Southdale report that John provided. The phase 1 is now up, I think, onto the 6th floor at this point. At the time we were looking at just through the 4th floor. A lot of the townhouse work is done. The contractors on schedule there, and LMCH is contracted with the architects for the next phase 2 building. Target start is next summer. Capital project updates. John noted the teams using Yardi to better track their project progress and completion. There are, including South Over Reimagine, we have 223 projects underway at various stages with total budgets of about 97 million. So lots of capital underway. Lastly, the CMHC funded projects update. We have 40 million in funding secured from CMHC for improving environmental impact, energy efficiency, and accessibility. One of the highlights there was the furnace contractor LG had replaced 300 furnaces at a pace of 15 a day, which I thought was quite impressive. And it also notes two things. So Councillor Callister and I saw a couple of the renovated units at the Walnut Street building, and that's part of the CMHC funding. We're impressed with the work there. Those were modifications for accessibility. So there's my summary of those reports.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair, and you'll move those reports?
I will move.
Seconder, please, Gary. All right, so we got a good summary there, so thank you very much for that. It's really helpful. And not too long at all, don't think that. So any questions or comments?
Way shorter than the last year's report, I like this.
Wait till I do my room.
Yeah, wait till he gets going.
When
All
you
right,
get to the
all
mayor
those in favor,
Strathroy.
stop it, please. No, just to go back, Greg, it's really great to get actually that summary really helps because it hits the high points in the report, so I'm gonna keep asking you for that, so I very much appreciate it. So now we'll go to the Finance Committee reports for approval. First is 10C, which is the staff report on the capital budget forecast. John presented on that at committee, so I'm not gonna ask him to do that. So I just need a mover and seconder. Moved by Mayor Grantham, seconded by Councillor McAllister. Anything, John, that you think has come to mind since then? I don't ask people to read some of that.
Nothing extraordinary, unusual.
Thank you very much then. So questions or comments on that? Being none, all in favor? Next is report 10D, which is the furnace replacement contract. Don? Anything you want to add to that? No?
No, that's just to move it from the 25 budget into the 24 budget.
Thank you very much then. So I just need a mover for that. Greg will move it and Deputy Mayor will second it. Any questions or comments? All in favor? That is passed. Next is the staff report on security services contract award. There was a lengthy discussion. I think that the head of our head was actually in a car going to a Green Day concert at the time that he presented it to it, which must have been fascinating to the other people in the car with you.
I had my headphones in, they didn't get.
Oh, lucky them, lucky
Yes.
them. So that was a very interesting report and we obviously had quite a chat about that. So I'm not gonna ask you to add anything to that. I just need a mover and seconder. Moved by Mayor Grantham, seconded by Councillor McAllister. All those in favor? We did have an extensive discussion on that, on security, what we're doing, where we're going. I don't want to repeat it. It's obviously high, as Paul said, it's top of mind for all of us. And I think we covered it fairly well, and we're confident that we're doing the right things. It's just a question of are they effective all the time? And that's a tough one. Next report is 10F, which is the contractor award for commercial laundry appliances and service. Christine, you weren't here or were you? Yeah, so I think, Paul, you presented? Yeah, Paul presented, so I'll just get a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Greg, seconded by Gary. Any questions or comments? I don't think there was anything unusual about that. It was just a contract award for those things. So anything? No? All those in favor? Great, my favorite kind of board meeting. So that's all done for finance. Again, thanks, Greg, and we really appreciate the summary. Next is the PSH reports. The first is a package for information. Sarah is a member of that committee now, just in case anyone wonders. She's sitting on that committee, and I think Mayor Grantham,
I was a stand-in.
you were the stand-in presiding. So anything that you want to say about the reports for information, you of course don't have to.
No, I'm gonna highlight two, because
Go
I
ahead.
think I do this by memory. I'm not as well prepared as Gary, so. And I'll admit that. The human resource, I believe Dirk gave a report on ratification of the contract. And the status, I know that under the community safety, I believe, we did get an update on the 3 incidents that we had, so we discussed that. But one that I really wanted to highlight was number 5, and that was the update on the community development. The work that's being done in the community, we talk about trying to make this a better experience for our tenants, and that one really jumped out at me as good, positive work. They were all good, that one. And also the communications update, all the different social media and outreach we're making to the media. So Jerry, those two, they were all good, but I do distinctly remember those two, very positive. So I'll move that we accept them.
Thank you. So I just need a seconder. Deputy Mayor. So any questions or comments about the, reports for information? No, all those in favor? Thank you. So we'll go to the reports for approval. First is staff report on the COVID-19 policy update. I don't know who made that. Did Dirk make it a committee?
So,
Yeah, you'll be here to answer any questions if they're asked. All right. So if I could just get a mover for that. Gary, thank you. And Mayor Grantham,
Yes,
seconder, thank you.
yes.
So that's on the table now. Any questions about the COVID-19 policy update? From the people at the committee, anything to tell us? No? All those in favor? That's passed. Next is the staff report on the LMCH parking policy. Andrew's here to answer any questions. Can I get a mover for that? Greg, and seconded by Hadley.
Okay.
Good work, Hadley. Any questions or comments? No? All those in favor? And that's passed. Just, it's not unusual where we've gone through these in detail at committee, that when you come to the board meeting itself,
Yep.
we trust the committees to do the work. The same thing happens, I think, at city council. Hope sometimes, not so never, it never happens at city council. But that's the way it's supposed to work, so hopefully people have worn themselves out committees and when I get to chair there, everybody's done with all the questions. So we do have one in-camera item that I think is added to the agenda. Am I right about that, Paul?
under new business, yes.
Under new business, but it's an in-camera item, am I right?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna have to go move to go in camera to deal with new business, which is an in-camera item. So we'll take 5 minutes. Paul, you tell us who the necessary people are here.
Yeah, we need, we need John and everything else. is-
Okay, so
Everybody else
John,
can be excused.
yeah, we don't need staff to come back for anything else. I don't think that's gonna be it. Unless you want to come back to watch us adjourn. Thanks, everyone. We fed you, okay? And if we haven't fed you yet, take some with you.
Take some with.
Take some with you. We mean that. See ya.
So do we get a mover and a seconder for the motion?
Oh, no, sorry, move and camera, Hadley, seconded by Greg. All in favor? We're moving in camera. Sorry, thanks, Paul.
All right, thanks.
Give her to Matt. Matt, get out. But I'll let, and then I'll let Kathleen move, adjournment, Kathleen? Move adjournment? Thank you. Seconded by, Greg. All in favor? We're done. Thank you, everyone. Good meeting.